Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Robert Meyer Burnett.
I'm scared of cornfields, John.
And that'll become a little bit more relevant later. Jonathan Voico.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Chris Carr.
How dare you?
AKA the lover of eyes. And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, that's when we take your comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or topic you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And now remember, you're sending in a tip to support the show, and as a thank you, we'd like to answer your questions, but we do reserve the right to not answer any questions sent in if we deem them inappropriate for the show. Oh, and by the way, listen, the good news about this tip link is that it's actually good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to our podcast, say on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day when we're not live, you can still send in a question. And if you send one in when we're not live, well, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, I'd be remiss if I didn't start off by saying this. Go Leafs, go. They said we wouldn't win a game against the defending Stanley Cup champions in the second round, and yet we now lead that series 1-0. Go Leafs, go. Okay, with that down, let's now get started with some lesser important things. All right, you guys know I love The Boys. I love this show deeply and passionately and with great enthusiasm. I actually even like Supernatural a little bit more. I don't know why, but I got completely hooked on that show even though I got started late on it. I think I jumped in somewhere around season 3 or something like that and then went back, got caught up. Love that show. And of course, they're both run by the same guy, Kripke. And we've seen a number of Supernatural alumni popping up in The Boys. And then we found out Jared Padalecki was now going to be coming over in the final season. Well, now the showrunner himself has confirmed that The Boys creator is saying that the Supernatural reunion is happening on screen in season 5 with your primary main leads. The folks over at Comic Book wrote, The Boys creator Eric Kripke has officially confirmed that Supernatural fans have been desperately hoping for ever since the casting news broke, that the upcoming 5th and final season of the hit Prime Video series will feature an actual on-screen reunion between Supernatural stars Jensen Ackles, Jared Padalecki, and Misha Collins. In a new interview with TV insider Kripke, who also created the long-running CW series, revealed that the trio will actively share scenes and storylines. This promises to be a significant moment for fans who followed the Winchester brothers and their angelic companion for 15 years, Kaz. While Ackles has already established his role as the volatile soldier boy, who is one of my favorite characters in the show, the characters of Padalecki and Collins will remain a closely guarded secret. All right, look. I acknowledge and understand that this news isn't going to be the biggest or best news for people who were not fans of Supernatural, or of The Boys for that matter. But if you are, like me, seeing them all together again, including Misha Collins in that. Now, of course, they've already killed off one of the main Supernatural characters, the guy who was playing the guy running for president, Bobby. They already killed him off, so he's gone. So we can't have him in it. But to get these 3 primary players back again, and I'm anticipating some inside jokes or something like that regarding Supernatural. Look, I know how Supernatural ended, and I know it went 15 seasons. But it's little things like this that make me kind of hope they'll do a reunion show, like maybe a 1-season limited series, or even a made-for-TV movie. I don't care. You can retcon lots. You can retcon the ending of Supernatural if you want. Anyway, I love this. Rob, you hear this. I know you're a big fan of The Boys as well.
I am.
What do you think about them, about Kripke, like just getting everybody, the whole gang back together?
Well, as I told you, I just got my Soldier Boy So-So Toy 6-scale figure, and it's quite excellent.
Which I'm so jealous of.
To go next to the Butcher and Homelander. But look, I think this is cool. I always like it when I'm a big fan of creators that have a stable of actors that they go back to again and again and again. Like, Woody Allen did that a lot, especially in the 70s. You saw a lot of these great New York actors come back and would play different parts. Steven Spielberg has worked with a lot of the same actors over the years. And I love that. I love seeing what they do with the characters. And so I think this is neat. I mean, if you're a fan of Supernatural, why not? It's Kripke's done a great job. Homeboy not Homeboy.
That's a different hero.
I mean, Jensen Ackles is great as Soldier Boy.
Homeboy's gonna be
so.
great.
I mean, it's cool that as a matter of fact, I can't imagine another actor in that role. And Kripke picked the perfect actor for the perfect part in that show. He just happened to be in Supernatural, but that connection was what made him think of it. But it's great. It'll be fun.
Chris, you had a chance to read about this. What do you think?
Oh, I'm stoked about this. I love all the boys, especially Homeboy. I love them. I'm so glad they're going to be there. I didn't get into Supernatural until the pandemic, which was great because I binged the entire show right in time for the series finale.
Oh, nice.
And I was just obsessed. I was mainlining this. This is one of the sparks of joy I had in 2020. So having this whole cast come back together is really delightful, especially just because they all work so well together. They have such great chemistry naturally, and it's really fun seeing them play against type or play these kind of more dastardly characters than the Winchester boys. I'm really hoping that we see Padalecki do something really bananas, because for the most part he usually plays pretty kind of clean cut individuals. He most recently was Walker, Texas Ranger. I want to see him be absolutely dastardly. Same thing with Misha Collins. I want to see them just be terrible people, and you can expect that kind of thing from the boys, so here's hoping.
It does break my heart, though, because one of the things that it mentions in the article, it reminds us that it's the final season.
Right.
And that kind of breaks my heart. But I mean, I do get it. Like when you have a kind of story like what they have, particularly with Homelander, that can't go on too long. Like eventually he just destroys the world,
right,
or he gets stopped. Like you can't stretch that out. And I feel like they've gone as long as they can. And you really feel it, especially at the end of last season. You feel it all now coming to a head. Like all the cards are on the table now. It seems like most pretense is gone. And so it feels like it's going to be appropriate that they're heading towards the finish line. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The showrunner for The Boys has confirmed that not only are the three of them going to be in the show, they're going to share a lot of screen time and they're going to share storylines together. So we're going to actually have a pretty fun Supernatural reunion in there. Maybe you don't care about it because you didn't like the other show. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? For some reason, a lot of film fans think that actors and studios are like professional athletes and their teams. Like if you do movies for one, you're not allowed to do movies for other. And that's completely not true. That hasn't been that way since the 1930s. Actors can be in one studio film and then the very next day walk across the street and do a film for another studio and then come right back across the street.
Well, that's crazy. What are you talking about? I've worked for the same studio for 30 years.
And that was the day. But it's especially true when it comes to the comic book genres, especially when you're talking about DC and Marvel. Fans seem to have this idea that you can either only be in one or the other, despite the fact that we have seen several actors be in both. Lawrence Fishburne, for example, has done both. He was in Ant-Man and he was Perry White for a while. And there have been others.
Jeffrey Wright. But now it looks like we might have another one. Because according to some rumors going around, it looks like Will Poulter might be on James Gunn's radar to play another Adam and cross the street from Marvel Studios over to Warner Brothers, and this time play Adam Strange. This is what they wrote over at Geek Tyrant. Will Poulter of Midsommar, Dope Sick, The Bear, Death of a Unicorn, and by the way, he was so good in Death of a Unicorn, made his Marvel debut in the James Gunn trilogy finale, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, as the fumbling heroic character, semi-heroic character, Adam Warlock, who had his reservations about the Guardians but ended up saving them in a pinch and becoming a trusted ally. He did well by the fans, and Gunn, who famously loves to work with the actors he calls his friends repeatedly, because of course James Gunn directed in him that. So it's not much of a stretch to hear the rumor that Poulter may be secretly signed on to make his DCU debut in an upcoming project that Gunn is at least producing as the head of DC Studios. The DC fan account Gunverse posted about this rumor over the weekend, apparently from sources familiar with the negotiations between DC Studios and Poulter. They heard that Poulter would make his DCU debut in another show or movie first before headlining an Adam Strange series for Max himself. Insiders reportedly even said that this show is assembling a writer's room already. And then a little further down, they share the actual social media post of that. All right. Now, as with anything that isn't coming directly from a studio or the principals involved, take this with a giant grain of salt. All right. Until we hear otherwise, this is rumors. This could be true. It could be not true. But as we often do here on this show, for the sake of the discussion, let's go with the assumption for a moment that maybe it's true. Number one, it's completely believable because James Gunn is one of those directors, and there are a lot of them. Martin Scorsese is one, and many others, who, when they like working with certain actors, they like to go back and work with those actors again. It's a very unique relationship between performer and director, and when it works, it works. If you know you've got somebody you like, why wouldn't you go back to them? Second reason it's believable is because Will Poulter is phenomenal, and his stock in Hollywood is only rising. He's becoming a go-to guy that a lot of people want to work with. So it's not really a stretch to think that DC may want to work with him. It's also kind of believable because he's clearly not adverse to playing superhero characters or playing within the superhero universes. He's already done it with Guardians of the Galaxy. And this would be made a bigger deal of than it really is, simply because it would mean you can see the headlines, jumping ship, that he's jumping ship from Marvel to go there. But hey, I want to point this out too. Even if this report is true, and it could be, there is nothing stopping him from appearing as Adam Strange in a DC series, and then 6 months later being in a new Marvel film as Adam Warlock still. You don't belong to a studio. You can do whatever projects you want and whatever time you want. Would he do that? I'm not really sure. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. First of all, what do you think about the idea of, Warner Brothers even doing Adam Strange? And what do you think about the idea of a Will Poulter playing him?
Well, it's so funny because to me, I've always thought of Adam Strange as the Commander Cody of the DC universe. I mean, you go all the way back to the serials, and he's got that Rocketeer vibe to him. He's got a jetpack, and technology, and he's actually appeared. Adam Strange has appeared in like Batman the Animated Series. His first live action, I was just telling you earlier, was in Krypton.
That's right.
He was in the series Krypton, and there was a great Adam Strange miniseries in 1990 that Andy Kubert drew. It was a prestige series, and he's like a supporting player. At one point, he was going to be in the Justice League. I mean, he's been a supporting player since the late 50s in the DC universe, and I've always liked the character. He's got that retro look. He would look. I'd love to, but I'm curious because he's the kind of character that James Gunn gravitates towards. Who's not
and elevates.
Yeah, yes, it elevates, and it isn't. I mean, because Adam Strange has been he was like Journey into Space. Was it Journey into Space? He had a pretty long run in that, but he doesn't have like a definitive storyline that I recall, like a Dark Knight Returns or something like that. But he's because he's in space. To me, it's like he was in space. I love, and his name's Adam Strange, and he lives on Rand. So hey, what's wrong with that? Bring him on.
Chris, what do you think about the idea of maybe like a Will Poulter crossing the street, going over to DC and maybe proactively being in two comic book cinematic universes at the same time, specifically playing like an Adam Strange?
I love it for Will Poulter, and I love it for us because he's so tremendously talented. I mean, this guy, if you've been following him from his beginning of his career doing sketch comedy in Britain as a kid and crushing it to where he's at now, he's so tremendously talented. But I do think this is such a fun and weird character because James Gunn's going to do something funky with it. Like Rob was saying, I mean, he's been around since like 1958. There's a really weird arc with Alan Moore where he's just like a breeding stud.
Yeah.
There's another arc where he like enters into the world with the rest of us because Swamp Thing ends up on this planet.
That's from the Adam Kubert series.
Yeah, there's so much weird stuff. And then like 2011 is when he has his kind of New 52, more streamlined stuff happen. So there's so many weird and wacky places you can take this. And I trust a former trauma director like James Gunn to lean into some of that funky and weird. And if they do some of the Swamp Thing tie-ins, I would really, really love that. I'd be so excited.
You know
I think
where
it'd be cool.
where I really took note of, well, the first time that I really took note of Will Poulter, and I thought, this kid could be something. Remember We're the Millers?
Oh my gosh.
How great was he in We're the
You guys are getting paid?
Yeah.
That's-
But it's
Ugh.
like he's totally different now. Like now he's this brooding, hunky guy, whereas back when he was in We're, he's a scrawny, awkward
This
kid.
is why you always go for the funny guy. Funny guy is always going to be great, and then they could blow up. All right?
He's been in a couple episodes of Black Mirror. He's in an
Oh,
an
he's
episode.
incredible in Black Mirror.
Yeah, he's in a new one.
He's in the
this-
Bandersnatch one.
Now, yeah, does he play the same program? I didn't know this, but I don't know the answer.
I don't
He was
know
in
if it's the
Bandersnatch, but
same.
he plays a programmer that came out of like he had issues. It's like the same
Yeah.
character.
I think it's the same guy, but
and
someone correct me if I'm wrong.
it's a Peter Capaldi episode of Black Mirror,
Yeah.
which was it's a really good episode.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There's a report and rumor going around that Will Poulter may be crossing the street and also appearing in DC, maybe as Adam Strange, possibly in his own series. What do you guys think about it? Do you believe it? Do you not? And if you do you like the idea of it? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen. We still have a number of other topics to discuss, including Chris Pine has just signed on for a new action flick called Run the Night that he's also going to be producing. Also, it's now May, so we're going to start running down all the movies coming out in May and what are the biggest ones you guys should be looking forward to. And Marvel has done something kind of fun. They've added the copyright symbol to the Avengers name. What kind of repercussions does that have overall? Oh, we're going to get to all that in just a second. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Stitch Fix. We want to take a second and thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, no crowds, no stress. Just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at Stitch Fix for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, that down. Let's move on to this, shall we? Outlets like Variety and Deadline are now reporting that Chris Pine has signed on to produce and star in a new action film called Run the Night. I love this guy. Anyway, they go on and talk about this. Run the Night, a new action film starring and to be produced by Chris Pine, has landed at Lionsgate in a deal for worldwide rights. The story centers on a banker accused of betraying the Dutch mob, who is dumped naked in the heart of Amsterdam with a $10 million bounty on his head. Hunted by the city's most violent gangs, he must fight his way across the city by dawn to save the lives of his wife and child, revealing that he was never just the money guy. Sounds a little bit like Nobody in a way, but that's okay. I love this kind of just straight up go get 'em kind of action thing. And you know what? Sign me up. First of all, just the sounds of this alone sounds like a fun time to me. Like I really do like these kinds of when you find out that, hey, the nerdy guy is more than meets the eye. And I love great action. I love great violence, all that kind of stuff. Add to that Chris Pine, who I straight up think Chris Pine, as famous as he is, I think he is an underappreciated treasure in this business. I have yet to see him in something where I didn't think he performed his heart out and was great. Whether he was, I thought he was a great Captain Kirk, but partially because unlike some of the other cast in those Star Trek films, he really didn't try to imitate the original. He just made it his own, and I really did like it a lot. Whether he's popping up, I mean, look, Dungeons and Dragons is one of the most woefully underappreciated film of the last couple of years. That movie was wonderfully fun. And absolutely nobody went to go see it. But whether he's in playing something more dramatic like Don't Worry, Darling, or whether he's doing more comedy, he's actually really hilarious when he does comedy.
Hell and High Water.
Oh my God, he's so good in Hell or High Water, not to be confused with a comedy.
Yeah, I just rewatched that clip recently where they're at the gas station and the guy pulls the gun on his brother, and he just comes in and goes, boom, and he pulls him out and knocks him out.
I mean, he just had a little bit of a rough go with his directorial debut with Pool Man, but
Yeah, where is the Pool Man?
but whatever. This guy is great. And you know what? I just went to go see Fight or Flight, right? And I never could have pictured Josh Hartnett as an action star. But when you're a great actor and you're really good at what you do, you can adapt. And let me tell you, Fight or Flight is a really fun little action film. I call it a poor man's version of Bullet Train. Like, it's not as good as Bullet Train, but it's really fun. The action is bonkers, all that kind of stuff.
Had you not seen Lucky Number 11?
Yes. Oh, that's right. Hartnett was in that
So I was
too.
gonna say, you should see that. You would love that
I
movie.
totally forgot about
Yeah.
Lucky Number. That ooh, that's like 20 years old.
Oh God,
More?
is it?
Older than 20, maybe?
I'm obsessed
I'll
with
look it
Wicker
up.
Park.
But all
That's my
that is
favorite
to
Josh
say
Hartnett
that
movie.
it's hard to imagine Chris Pine in a straight up violent action film.
2006, so
Almost 19 years. Oh, Chris does not feel good. Yeah, 19 years. That thing. I was close when I said 20. But
Crumbled
I would
to dust.
love to see Chris, because I can't think of Chris Pine in a straight up action film. Can you? Off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Well, yeah,
He
We're
did-
at War. Wasn't it We're at War with him and Tom Hardy?
Tom
yeah,
Hardy.
This Means War. I think.
But
This
that
Means
wasn't
War?
really a straight up action film.
So it was
was
like a
it?
rom-com with two secret agents.
Yeah,
or
with a bit of
something like
action.
Like Night and Day.
that. But still, yeah.
But something like a John Wick, a Nobody,
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah, no.
Fight or
Yeah.
Flight, a Bullet Train kind of straight up action film.
yeah, because
I-
even when he played Jack Ryan, it was espionage.
yeah, exactly. So
That's not a good movie, though.
Well, I'm sorry, he was
Even-
in it.
even
That's
though
what I
it was
Branagh directed
okay.
it.
It was all right, that Jack Ryan one. But
I'll use a better example next time.
I'll tell you what, I'd love to see him in a film like this. I really would. So I'm completely down for this. Chris, you heard about Chris Pine starring a new action film for Lionsgate, Run the Night. What do you think?
Oh, I love this. He is the best Chris of all
He's
the
the best
Chris's
Chris.
out there. I enjoy him so much. I think he's wonderful. I really like him as Captain Kirk. Is that okay?
Don't look at me. I thought he did. I thought the
Rob
problem
actually
with
liked
Star
the
Trek
cast, he
09
didn't
was
like-
definitely not Chris Pine.
Yeah.
He was good.
I really like him. I really like him. I think he's just wonderful and a great actor and super dreamy. And I really liked his Big Lebowski look for the pool guy, or pool man. I was enjoying that. I think that this will be a really fun little departure for him, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I just want it to be stupid fun violence.
You know what else he was really good in? That didn't get, the movie itself didn't get a lot of love. Okay, do you remember Outlaw King? We played Robert the Bruce. In that,
Yes.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
He was actually really. The movie wasn't great, but he was fabulous in that. Anyway, Rob, you hear about this? What do you think about Chris Pine doing this?
Well, the movie itself sounds really good. Look, have you? I love Amsterdam. It's a great town. I would. There's a couple of movies there. Dick Moss's Amsterdammed is a crime thriller set in Amsterdam that I really love. I would love to see this movie because I love the location. I love the premise. What does the Dutch mob do? That's what I want to know. I mean, like, I don't know. But it sounds good to me. I'll definitely watch it.
All right, guys.
He's great.
Question is for you. What do you think about this? The major trades are reporting that Chris Pine is signed on to produce and star in a new action film for Lionsgate called Run the Night. I love the synopsis. Sounds simple, straightforward, good actioner. I'd love to see Chris Pine in this. How do you feel about it? Whatever you think, jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, it's May. And so May is kind of the unofficial start of the summer movie season. And so some of the bigger films start to come out this time of year, and there's a lot of films coming out in May. So I thought we would take a few minutes to start running down, in particular, talk about the ones that are getting wide releases, because there's a whole ton of them getting limited. So we won't go over all of those. But I thought we'd take a look at the release calendar, talk about some of the ones that we are most excited about, most anticipating coming up in the month of May. So let's jump into the calendar right now. So starting May 9th, we got the new Paul Rudd film, Friendship, which, by the way, right now has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it seems like I haven't seen the movie yet myself, but it seems like it flips the script on the stereotype, because normally your lead character meets the neighbor and then the neighbor ends up being wacky. It sounds like maybe this flips that, where the main guy is the one who ends up being the problem, and the guy he meets and makes friends is actually just kind of normal. I don't know, but look, Paul Rudd is an MVP to me. I love this guy. I like him in everything, so this looks really good. So Friendship comes out May 9th. On the completely opposite end of the scale, we've got a movie I am very excited about skipping. Shadow Force.
Oh.
And listen, it pains me to say that because I have had a low-key crush on Kerry Washington for many years. Omar Sy is fantastic. And since when is Mark Strong anything but awesome? So all those people, it's an action film, but oh my God. I don't know if you could purposely make a worse trailer and come up with a worse title.
It looks like a direct-to-video movie from like 1992.
It really does.
And I was like, oh, it sounds like a video game. And guess what? There's a video game.
Oh,
Is
okay.
there?
Yeah, Shadow Force. There you go.
Oh.
Is this movie actually? I've never heard this
No
was
way.
in any way
No, it's
connected to
not.
the video game, though.
No.
Like they literally called it.
Say pretty fast and loose with that interpretation.
What was the Melissa McCarthy one called? Something Force. Remember
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
the superhero one they did? That's like one of the singularly worst motion pictures I've ever seen in my life. Guys in the live chat, help us out. What was the name of that movie? Thunder Force.
Thunder Force.
This sounds like a sequel to Thunder Force. And listen, how many times are we going to do, oh my God, mom and dad are super spies? How many times are going to do, look, for all I know, the movie's great. For all I know, it's great.
Could be great. Could be the new Band of the Hand.
It just looks terrible. All right.
Michael Mann produced it.
Yep.
Paul Michael Glaser directed it.
Oh.
It's pretty great.
Okay.
Let's
But
go
I
on
thought
to
it
this
was gonna
one.
be
This
bad.
one's going to be high up on Chris Carr's watch list.
Absolutely not.
Clown in a Cornfield.
I hate this.
You know what? This is brought to us by the guy who directed Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which I love that movie.
Same, but this looks spooky for real.
It
And I don't
does.
like it.
But there's a moment, if you guys haven't seen the trailer for this yet, there's a moment that I laughed way out loud when they're like, call 911. And they literally, there's a rotary phone. Like, how does this work?
That's a good bit.
And you know what? The funny thing is that it's probably true. You put a rotary phone in front of a lot of people under 20 today, and they probably have no idea what to do.
Oh, no.
Under 25,
I
probably.
was going to say, go into an Urban Outfitters and just show somebody one. I went in there the other day and someone was like, oh my God, things sound so much better on cassette. No, they don't.
No, they really don't.
I mean-
dumb.
I mean, look, they nailed it on the marketing. There's no doubt what this movie's about.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And you
There
know
was a
what?
clown,
It
there's
looks
a
fun to me.
cornfield.
I'm not a huge horror aficionado, but this looks fun to me. So
It looks like an 80s throwback. It's kind of cool.
even a 90s throwback. a
Tucker
little
and
bit.
Dale. Well, it also kind of looks. It looks a little Terrifier-esque to me.
A
Sure,
little bit.
sure.
You know, maybe
but I
it's-
mean, listen, clowns have been a major horror motif
I know.
long before the
I know.
Terrifier.
Remember the movie Funhouse? From the
Oh
70s
yes,
or
directed by Toby
early-
Hooper.
Or It. All right. Next up, a movie I just went to go see last night at a mystery screening. Josh Hartnett's Fight or Flight. Again, like I said a little bit earlier, it's a poor man's version of Bullet Train. Okay, it is not as good as Bullet Train. But Bullet Train is so good, you don't have to be as good as Bullet Train to still be good. And I thought this was a fun movie. It's not going to win any Poulter prizes for writing or anything like that, but it is hyper violent. Like it's not just punches to the gut. There's a lot of blood and a lot of gore, and it's all done in really fun ways. I said in my Out of the Theater review that like a lot of the other assassin killers on the plane are very Tarantino-esque. Like you would almost feel like Tarantino came up with that character and came up with that character and so on and so forth. And again, I didn't know if I could buy Josh Hartnett as an action star, but damn it, he's an action star. And Katie Sackhoff is in it too.
Yeah.
We
And
love.
yeah, and she's kind of fun in it. So
Katie Sackhoff, co-star of True Noir. the
That's right.
assassination of
That's it.
Anton Cermak.
One and the same.
Fight. I recommend it if you're just looking for a good, dumb, fun action film with like lots of violence and lots of gore.
Yeah.
check out and legitimately funny in places.
That looks like it's taken from Bullet Train.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it kind of does.
you know?
But it's on a plane.
Yep.
Some people call it Bullet Plane. I saw some people online calling the movie
It
Bullet Plane.
works.
And that's not too off. All right. We're now going to jump down to a movie that I think looks absolutely terrible. Juliet and Romeo. I love Romeo and Juliet tellings, and I'm a big fan of musicals. This looks horrendous.
I mean, unless you really love Hallmark movies.
Oh, Hallmark movies done by 50-year-old producers who think they understand the mid-20-somethings musical taste.
In this one, they live.
And listen, like I heard some people like, why change the name? Why call it Juliet and Romeo?
Because it's whoa.
No, it's actually brilliant. That's exactly what everybody thinks, right? But it was actually a brilliant move to name it Juliet and Romeo because there are so many Romeo and Juliet stuff out there. This makes it very like you know.
Now you know which one to
you're talking
avoid.
about. Now you know the one to skip. Because this again, maybe it's great, maybe it ends up being great, but it looks awful. So
I mean, the trailer looked really bad.
It's pretty rough.
And then it would just be like these cuts in the song to another song, but like it was so abrupt.
Yeah.
Ugh.
and like if you look, it's unfair to compare anything to The Greatest Showman, which I'll stand on this mountain now. Greatest Showman, greatest musical movie of all time. Come at me. I don't care. It is the greatest musical movie of all time. But you look at an ad for that, right? You do the marketing. And you hear like, this is the greatest show. And you hear all this music is great. I watched this trailer 3 times for Juliet and Romeo. I couldn't hum one bar of any of the awful sounding music they had in it. So I don't know. I'm going to skip it, but I don't know. Hopefully it's good. Maybe people see it and say it's really good. And if it is,
Maybe Jeffrey Wright shows up and somebody asks him in the middle of the movie, how did this movie get made? And he'll go, I don't know. It's history.
it's a mystery. All right. We move on now. Demon Slayer's up there, but that's going to be a
Hell
limited
yeah.
release.
And Wolf
May
Children.
16th. Final Destination. I have never in my life, except when we were talking about this movie, uttered the phrase, I'm really looking forward to the next Final Destination movie. I'm not a fan of the franchise. I'm not. There's been one of them that I thought was pretty good, and that's it. Just, I don't like it. And then at CinemaCon, they showed us like a 10-minute presentation of this movie.
Dude,
I cannot wait to watch this movie.
me neither.
Like, what was your reaction to the stuff they showed?
Dude,
at
it was
CinemaCon?
I mean, it was, first of all, you got a bunch of jaded theater owners and they're showing all these different clips and, you know, the scene, the setup, it has to do with never, John, on my 2025 bingo card, did someone say to me, you're never going to be so excited about a scene with a vending machine and an MRI machine in the same scene. And I would have been like, how does that work? Well, kids, you're going to find out. And, you know, Perry Nemiroff, who used to work at Collider,
Yep.
she did a review of this, and she said, she's a big horror fan. She said this movie, she's a huge fan of this franchise.
Yeah.
And talked about how amazing it was, how it's like incredible. It was very apparent to me watching the audience. We loved it. The audience loved it. That scene, though, was, I mean, it was so good. Look, you don't go to Final Destination to find the secrets of the universe. You don't go to a Final Destination movie. You don't go to a Final Destination movie to like go through your trauma. You know,
I've been
it's
looking
not
in
that.
the wrong place.
What you want to do is you want to see people die in Rube Goldbergian clever ways. And what they showed us at CinemaCon, and they said, oh, that's just the beginning. You know, I think the way I'm feeling now about, you know, where I am in my life right now at 2025, I want to see blood across the screen. I want to see creative deaths. I want to walk out of there feeling satisfied and less angry. And I think that this movie's going to do just that.
I'll tell you what, I'm not saying it was my favorite movie at CinemaCon that was showcased, but other than the Superman stuff they showed us, the Final Destination Bloodline stuff was my favorite stuff they showed. I think other than Superman, it was my next favorite thing they showed. It was like so fun.
I just love it when a movie knows what it is and
Yes.
the filmmakers deliver on that promise. It's been a long time. This has been a dormant, moribund franchise. They're bringing this back in grand fashion, and guess what? It's going to be another win for the folks over at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
They're going to keep their money rolling in. You go, Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi. Good job for greenlighting this one.
Now, also opening up on that same day is another film that they highlighted big at CinemaCon. The new movie with Jenna Ortega, Barry Keoghan, and The Weeknd, Hurry Up Tomorrow. Listen, this was one of the highlights of CinemaCon because after they had the director out on stage and Jenna Ortega talking about the movie, because it's really The Weeknd's movie, and it was kind of weird that The Weeknd wasn't there. But after they did this big presentation about it and talked about it and showed some clips from it, all of a sudden the lights went out, a whole band was rolled onto stage, and The Weeknd came out and did a mini concert for us, which was awesome. And listen, I love to support my good Canadian kids. The Weeknd, for a lot of you who may not know, is a good Canadian kid. And I want to support him. But I know some of you guys who came with me to CinemaCon, you had a different opinion. I thought this looked boring and dry. I didn't like the look of it. I don't know. What did you think about what they showed us there?
Well, I actually wasn't at that presentation.
Oh, that's right. You were under the weather that day.
I was trying
it was Cody and Ann that liked.
Cody and Ann went. And
They
I
liked
thought,
what they
well,
saw.
if they
That's right.
told me The Weeknd was going to play, I would have soldiered through. No, I just slept that morning. That was the time I missed it.
Yeah, I don't think it looks all that great, but here's hoping it turns out to be wonderful. All right. We jump now to May of 2023, or May 23rd of 2025. That's a big day. It's this year's version of Barbenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
It's Mission Impossible Final Reckoning and Lilo and Stitch. Okay, let me start with Lilo and Stitch. I fanatically love the trailers for Lilo and Stitch. I think this looks so charming and so wonderful.
Me too.
And I mean, yeah, Stitch looks great, but if you're going to do Lilo and Stitch live, you got to nail it with casting Lilo. They nailed it with this little girl. She is like 1,000 exploding suns of adorableness. And this just looks so heartwarming and so fun. And just, again, it just put a smile on my heart just watching the trailers for this. This thing is going to make an insane amount of money. Then you got Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, which I really liked. Dead Reckoning. I don't think it's the best Mission Impossible movie, but I really liked it. And the trailers for this have been fantastic. It feels like they learned their lesson and haven't overhyped any one stunt. Because again, by the time we saw Dead Reckoning, we had all seen the cliff motorcycle jump stunt 5,000 times.
Yeah.
Right? They're not doing that here. Again, Lilo and Stitch is going to make the most money out of the two. That I have no doubt. But can they both be successful? I sure hope so, because I am really looking forward to both of these. Chris, what do you think about the May 23rd weekend? And which one of the two are you more excited about seeing?
Oh man, Mission Lilo: The Final Stitching. I'm very excited. I'm pumped about Lilo and Stitch. Mission Impossible. You guys already know this is a franchise that I'm like, that's fine. I'll maybe watch some stuff if I'm there. I'll go see it. Mission Impossible movies are never really at the top of my list of what I have to go see.
Right.
Although this looks very, very promising. I've enjoyed the trailers. I've enjoyed that we're not watching one stunt over and over for 2 years. You know, there could be some fun stuff here. And I love Haley Atwell. So that's one of the things that I'm more excited about than the overall movie. Lilo and Stitch, though, I am absolutely so stoked for. The more that we see of that movie, like the fun little media stunts they've been doing, the interviews with this cast, that little kid, there was a great one recently of her just being like, hey, was it hard for you to memorize your lines? No, because I'm a really good reader and I read all the time. This is the book I'm reading right now. And she's just sitting there eating ice cream, doesn't give a shit about anything that's happening. It's great. That's magical. That movie's gonna be so delightful.
I cannot wait for it. Rob, what do you think about this weekend? And which one are you going to go see first?
Well, I mean, look, I especially after watching they've been showing these behind the scenes clips of Chris McQuarrie and Tom Cruise filming all the underwater sequences. It gave me like Abyss vibes, like they were shooting in that nuclear power plant. But it looks incredible to me. And excuse
Bless
me,
you.
right on camera. Thank you very much. I've loved this franchise all the way back into the 90s. I even love Mission Impossible 2. Come at me, bro.
Oh man.
Don't even start. It's John Woo. Come on. It's got motorcycles.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
got motorcycles.
Just like Rogue Nation. But I think that
Just like
this movie
Rogue
looks
Nation.
incredible. I can't wait to see it. I'm going to go see it Thursday at the preview. I can't wait. That said, if you had told me again in 2025 that I would be as excited to see a Disney live action remake of one of their charming animated titles, I would have said no way. Seeing the footage, since we saw that, we came in here and we said that after seeing the trailer that's going to make all the money,
Yeah.
and the clips they showed at CinemaCon did not dissuade me from this opinion. It looks absolutely delightful and heartwarming. And again, I will go see Final Destination to make me feel better about my life, and Lilo and Stitch. As a matter of fact, what a double feature! It'll still
Make
be
a fun double
it'll
feature.
still be in the theaters. You can go see Final Destination and Lilo and Stitch. That should be the thing that they promote.
Daddy, what's a Prince Albert? Never mind. All right. So once you see the movie, you'll understand.
I forgot about that.
All right. Now we jump ahead another week to May 30th. And listen, talking about, I was saying that I was not interested in Final Destination. I was not really interested in Karate Kid Legends. I did like the Jackie Chan Karate Kid with Jaden Smith. I like that film. But I'm not a Cobra Kai guy. So I'm like, they're doing Karate Kid Legends just to try to piggyback on the success of Cobra Kai. Tell you what, the stuff they showed us at CinemaCon totally changed my mind. I may not be as psyched for Karate Kid Legends as I am for Final Destination, but this looked truly good. It really did. The combat and the fight choreography, I don't know that it's ever been better.
That kid's a star.
And this kid, who I cannot remember his name, but this kid, the new Karate Kid, you mark this down, he is going to be a superstar for a couple of reasons. One, he came out on stage at CinemaCon with Ralph Macchio, and he is so eloquent and so confident and so charming and just knows how to play it. His acting in the film for the stuff they showed us looked really good for a kid, but he does all of his own combat.
Yeah.
And he does all of his own stunts. And I'm watching this kid and listening to him talk on stage, and I'm thinking, they're saying his name's Ben Wang.
Yeah, he was in American Born Chinese. He was incredible.
Oh, that's right. He was in that. Just mark it down. This kid is going to be a superstar. He's going to be great. And I really like the stuff they showed us. And I am surprised to say that I'm really looking forward to seeing Karate Kid Legends. Juxtapose that against another film opening up, The Phoenician Scheme, which looks bad. I'm sorry. We've been talking about this film for a while now. His films are becoming a meme unto themselves. And the trailer for The Phoenician Scheme looks like they asked somebody to do a sketch of one of his movies in 2025. Go. And they made this because it's exactly what it is. Anyway, we got Karate Kid Legends. We got Phoenician Scheme. And by the way, we got the new Sally Hawkins horror film from A24 called Bring Her Back. The trailers for that look absolutely creepy, but I don't really know what's going on. And so it's difficult to catch my interest when I have no idea what's happening.
Well, it's from the brothers who made Talk to Me.
Oh,
And
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
and Talk to Me was a banger.
Yeah.
And so I Bring Her Back looks, I can't wait to see it. That's the one that I would go see first.
Well, let's put these three films to you here. Karate Kid Legends, Phoenician Scheme, Bring Her Back. What do you think about the three? You obviously said you're going to go see Bring Her Back first. But what do you
Well,
think about
here's the
other two?
thing. Elizabeth loves Wes Anderson movies. So my first film would be going to see The Phoenician Scheme. And then I can decide what I want to do. Got to keep the ladies happy.
Chris, what
Good
about
job.
you? Which of the trailers for these three have been kind of standing out to
Well,
you?
I
the most?
also want to keep Elizabeth happy, so I'm gonna see the Phoenician Scheme first. Yeah, I love Wes Anderson. That's the one I would go see first. Karate Kid, and then I'm never gonna see that horror movie.
Yeah, no, that's not going to be one for you. But I mean, Wes Anderson, I look at his last few offerings because not was it Asteroid City? Is that the
Yeah.
name of it?
Yeah.
Asteroid
Not so-
City and the French Dispatch.
I
And I-
loved French Dispatch.
Really?
I liked some
I didn't like
vignettes
it
of it.
very
I
much.
didn't like the entirety of it.
I thought it was just Wes Anderson so hard.
Well, that's the thing. That's what he's
Yeah.
become now. He's become like boiled down, concentrated Wes Anderson.
Yeah. But
Because
does
you
it.
go back to things like the Grand Budapest Hotel, or you go back to things like Life Aquatic, or you go back to things like Royal Tenenbaums, or you go back to things like I don't know. I just feel like he's becoming a meme of himself these days.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Maybe and the trailer really didn't do it for me for the Phoenicia Ski, even though it's got Tom Hanks, Benicio del Toro, Bryan Cranston, Michael Cera. Like it's got a
Yeah.
great loaded cast, but it looked ridiculous.
It made me want to go back and watch The Life Aquatic again because I love that movie so much.
oh,
So good.
it's so good.
No, pardon me, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about that big long list of some really good looking movies, some not so great looking movies, and some movies that could be anywhere in between? What are you looking forward to the most with these movies coming out in wide release in May? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Of course, it's now well known. There was some great social media video the other day of Sebastian Stan in Burbank
Yeah.
going around to all the Thunderbolts posters and putting a New Avengers sticker over the title.
Yeah. I was literally right in that spot yesterday. Well, I pass by every day, but like I had to go to that spot. That's right across the street from Disney Studios.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I
yeah,
was there.
going out there and do that. Now there are reports going around, and I even saw some people in the live chat before the show started saying they've officially changed the name of Thunderbolts to New Avengers. No, they did not. The official name of the movie is still Avengers. All right, despite
The Thunderbolts.
I mean, sorry, it's still the Thunderbolts. That Thunderbolts is still the name of the movie. They
Yeah.
did not change the name of the movie. Yes, they're doing the marketing stunt with putting the New Avengers on it and
And
all
it's
that kind
torn
of stuff.
off, but yeah.
But yes, but it is still Thunderbolts. But they are going around, and if you saw the film, they're now kind of revealing it. But at the end, there's a question about who are truly the New Avengers. And there's a little joke about Sam Wilson filing for copyright. Well,
yeah.
playing on that, according to stories going around, Avengers social media accounts have now officially added the copyright symbol on the Avengers. I'm going to see if I can scroll down and find.
Oh, here I have it here.
That's
You have it
actually
here?
pretty damn
I have it
funny.
here in the meantime.
Yep.
You can see it right there.
There it is. They put the big C before Avengers. It's now officially copyrighted.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple of interesting things to talk about here. One, the idea that after just 3 days of Thunderbolts being in theaters, they went out and changed some of the posters, at any rate, to Thunderbolts to say New Avengers. Instead of Thunderbolts asterisk, it now says asterisk the New Avengers.
Right.
And so I thought that was interesting. Again, they didn't change the name of the movie, but it kind of just revealed to everybody. Now, I gotta wonder if Marvel's thinking on this was simply, listen, it's been out for 3 or 4 days. Anybody who cares about Thunderbolts probably has heard about this, so we can just take advantage of it and put it out there. Or maybe there's still some people a little bit on the fence about coming to see Thunderbolts. And if we slap New Avengers on the poster, maybe they'll come. Whatever their reasoning was, that's interesting. I still think it's very, very fun, though. And it's going to be a little thing that not everybody will catch. But by slapping the copyright emblem on the Avengers thing, I think it's just a fun little gag. I
Yeah.
think that's really great.
Makes it alive.
But let me sidetrack the discussion for a second before we get to that, because I do want to hear what you guys think about the putting New Avengers on there, the copyright symbol. But I want to throw this out there too. And it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but follow me here. One of the things I don't actually hear, and maybe somebody somewhere did and I just didn't see it, but something I do not hear anybody talking about coming out of Thunderbolts is the opening of the film with the Marvel logo.
Mm-hmm.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum,
I love
ba-dum.
that touch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Traditionally, always, when Marvel has that little dun, 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 and the Marvel thing coming up, it's a bunch of rapid, quick little shots and scenes from all the various different Marvel properties where you see Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and Ms. Marvel and Hulk and all that kind of stuff. They did it for Captain America Brave New World. They didn't do that for Thunderbolts.
Mhm.
In the little bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 it's just comic book art. and a little bit of animation.
And mostly Century art.
None of it was the history of Marvel. It was none of that. Now, as film fans love to do, let's overreact. And one of my first thoughts when I saw that was, is this their subtle way of suggesting that they're about to reboot the entire universe? They're sweeping away all the old characters and everything like that. Again, pure speculation, overreacting as we as movie fans do. But I looked at that and I'm like, what is that saying? Maybe it means nothing at all, but it was clearly a very intentional thing to depart from that traditional opening and taking out all the old footage. I don't know. Anyway, Rob, let me go over to you on this. Couple things. The idea to slap New Avengers on all the posters, the copyright symbol, the opening to the film, the floor is yours. What's standing out to you?
Well, I mean, look, they're ramping up to do something pretty interesting. And I think, that if they're leaning into the Hickman Secret Wars, I mean, I've heard it's going to be a combination of the two. I don't know if that's true or not. Clearly, the multiverse is coming to an end. Clearly, I mean, the new Spider-Man movie that takes place between Doomsday and Secret Wars is called Brand New Day. Now, is that just because Peter Parker wakes up and nobody remembers Peter Parker, or is it literally going to take place in a different place? And I think they are gearing up for a massive reboot that's going to allow them to reshuffle the Marvel universe. I mean, if you look back to the big, you brought up Crisis on Infinite Earths yesterday. When that happened, that was from a comic book standpoint, that was monstrously huge because Earth got combined, the DC multiverse got combined into one Earth. And they literally rebooted Superman with John Byrne. They're doing the same thing. Marvel's doing that same thing. They're going to reboot their entire universe. So they literally can do anything. Now, I don't know what that reboot's going to look like, but once there's no more multiverse, and they close it off, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they're going to do. I just hope it's well thought out and well scripted, and it turns out well for everybody. So I think all of these little things, they're clearly having fun with it. But I think if you're paying attention, I think you might be onto something. Now, I don't know if it means other than the fact that also in the Marvel, the void came, and everybody.
Yeah, the darkness starts.
So it's
to
like
overcome
everybody's
it.
getting sucked into the void, whatever it metaphorically could mean. But they are having some fun with this, and they are leading us somewhere. I mean, and we'll see. I think what really is going to be really interesting to me is how Fantastic Four is. Because I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced. I look at Fantastic Four and I'm like, we're all sitting there kind of going, well, I hope it's good. But I'm not looking at Fantastic Four going, that looks awesome. I don't feel that way.
Yeah, no, listen, I have two conflicting approaches, but they are both true at the same time. Number one, I haven't loved the Fantastic Four trailers. I think they've been pretty good.
They're good.
They're pretty good. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, I would go see that. But they're not knocking my socks off or anything, right? That's true. What is also true is that Marvel is at least acting like they have worlds of confidence in this movie. Everything I mentioned, I don't know if you saw it in IMAX, but I've saw it, the two times I've seen it were both in IMAX screens, both in Las Vegas and here. And they replaced that IMAX countdown clock with Fantastic Four stuff.
Oh.
They were marketing Fantastic Four everywhere. The fact that they have that music playing at the end and then the rocket show. I mean, they are acting like they are supremely confident in this movie.
Yeah.
They may be right to be that confident. They may not be, but they are
look
clearly
great
confident.
on the big screen.
Oh,
all
it
those
does.
when you see the trailers and stuff, it all looks really wonderful on the big screen.
Yeah. So we'll just see if they're actually able to pull something off with it. Anyway, Chris, a lot of stuff here. I mean, the new Avengers stuff, the copyright stuff, the opening stuff. What are the things that are standing out to you?
The biggest thing is the copyright stuff, to me, feels like a bitch move that Sam Wilson wouldn't do.
That's right.
I'm angry about it. When it was happening in the movie, I was like, not my cat. That's not what he would do. That's not what he would do. He would have a nice conversation. He wouldn't do all this weird, sneaky legal nonsense. It feels very out of character, and I didn't like it even if it's just for a punchline. The opening, though, I thought that was really rad. I loved that it was setting us up for the Avengers aren't coming. This is a different situation. And I do think there's the potential here of a real big retooling of the universe and who's going to be on that lunchbox. That's all still up for grabs. So I think it was a really smart move for Marvel to, one, do that so we had an immediate shift in tone, but also to set us up for what's to come.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about that? I think it was a fun little nod to a last punchline joke in the movie by putting the copyrights. It's a little thing, but it's a fun thing. The bigger issue, of course, is them slapping new Avengers on it just 3 days into the movie. Although, let's be honest, it's not that big of a spoiler. It's not like the movie hinges on that, or that's even what the movie's about. Anyway, whatever you guys think about all that, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your comments and questions. Before we do that, though, we're going to bid adieu to, of course, the wonderful Chris Carr, Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Damn, I have to go.
Great job as always, guys. And we're going to get to your questions here in just a second. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment and hear from another sponsor of today's episode of our show, our friends at Hungryroot. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Hungryroot. Okay, so I'm sure you guys can all relate to this. Spring hits and suddenly life goes from like 0 to 100. Busy season is officially in full swing over here. And honestly, who's got time to go grocery shopping? That's where Hungryroot comes in. See, because Hungryroot is like having your own personal shopper. I told them my goals and they started curating groceries for me that actually fit my life. Be it smoothies, snacks, salad kits, even ready to eat meals. All clean ingredients, no artificial junk. This week, I got the grilled turkey tenderloin with pesto grilled veggies, and it was amazing. And I got my usual protein-packed snacks. It's like they're learning my taste better than I even know myself. And the best part is, I don't have to waste time driving to the grocery store and wandering the aisles. That's time I can spend doing literally absolutely anything else. Guys, I love Hungryroot. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/Campea and use the code Campea. That's hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea, to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/Campea, code Campea. And thank you to our friends at Hungryroot for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to the important stuff. Your comments and questions. Jonathan, what we got up first?
Colin says, hey, John, have you seen that Marvel has begun changing some of the Wheaties box billboards to reveal the new Avengers title? To me, genius way to make some, give it some legs. Top 10 MCU films for me. The hallway hug scene.
Yeah, look, I've been saying that I don't think it's like a top tier MCU film, like top 5. I haven't sat down and made out a list in a long time. It's possible Thunderbolts could make it in my top 10. Again, I don't think it's top shelf MCU, but I thought it was really good. And again, it's a very interesting decision for them to do that just 3 or 4 days into the movie's release. So whether it's to just acknowledge what everybody already knows, or whether it's to maybe add new interest to the film, who knows? But it's an interesting marketing play. All right, what's next?
We got, wrong shot. We got Alex says, Yelena is a cute little Russian vicious puppy dog that must be protected at all times. Honestly, I love Thunderbolts so much I might go see it again sometime during the week. I love Florence Pugh's character more than Natasha, and that's just 2 movies.
I'll tell you what, they already made her character interesting. Like, I thought she was an interesting character in Black Widow, a movie that I didn't think was all that good, but I thought she was an interesting character. I quite enjoyed her when she popped up in Hawkeye. Like, she was pretty good in Hawkeye, and her playing off Haley Steinfeld was really fun. But this movie, she really shines. I mean, she really does. Now, granted, the movie gives her most of the spotlight, but man, Florence Pugh and the writers made the most of it to really make Yelena, I think, a fan favorite now. And that's a tall order. Like, I still think Black Widow is still the better character, but it's a tall order to make Yelena stand out, especially being in the shadow of and being the younger sister of Natasha Black Widow. They did a great job with it, and she's fantastic. All right, what's next?
DJ says, in regards to Thunderbolts, I had a weird reaction and had to leave toward the end. The character Void caused me to have a panic attack due to being a physical representation of my really bad days when I'm dealing with my depression. Loved it, though.
You know, it's always funny when movies can touch us the closest to home is when they have their biggest impact. Sometimes that impact can be negative, but even when it's negative, it does heighten the experience. And hopefully with something like that, you'll be able to go back in, and now that you know what to prepare for, you'll be able to go and watch it again. But from a lot of people I've heard from that have really loved the movie, it is its ability to touch them close to home. Whether it's from some of the dialogue about dealing with, depression, dealing with loneliness, the void aspects of it, whether it's the physical representation of the void, or whatever it is, they did a really good job touching close to home. And not every Marvel film has done that. Not even some of the better ones. All right, what's next?
Okay, Anonymous. Obviously, this was a couple days ago. So, hey, John, just want to know your thoughts on the president stating he'll put 100% tariffs on the movies made outside the U.S. and how or if this will affect the industry, especially the big films like Doomsday, Odyssey that are filming in Europe.
Well, yeah, we went into that ad nauseum yesterday. We talked like a good half hour about it.
Yeah.
Again, listen, the thing that we all agree on, just a quick summary, we all agree that there is a problem, right? At 100% there's a problem. A really valid solution has not yet been found by anybody on the left, on the right. And it's a problem that persists, and solutions need to be found. This is clearly not the solution. And it was really dumbass to announce something like that. Like, if you're a competent leader, when you announce a significant policy shift in your company, in your team, in your country, whatever, you include with that the details of what it means. And to just come out on a social media post and say, we're putting 100% tariff on movies shot outside the US. What did that mean? As we went over yesterday, does that mean foreign films like RRR or Godzilla -1? Or are you talking about Hollywood films that shoot overseas? Things like James Bond franchise, the new Christopher Nolan film, The Odyssey? Or are you talking about Hollywood films that shoot in America, but also shoot some scenes overseas? Are you talking about movies that shoot entirely in America, but then do some of their visual effects work or sound mixing overseas? Like, what does that include? They didn't say. So it was a really ridiculous, stupid thing to do and say, but in total agreement that there is a problem. And at the very least, it brought some attention to the fact that there's a problem. And I agree with that. All right, what's next?
Garden Variety says, as per your nature theory, a bird still needs to learn to fly from their parent. Mom is still alive, and Harper pushed hard to have her brought back for the movie. He felt his character would not have left her and wouldn't want to let her go. Is he talking about Rachel Weisz?
Yeah, so the question came in is like, where was Rachel Weisz's character? And I honestly cannot remember what happens to her in Black Widow.
I can't either.
I mean, that's how drab I found Black Widow. Like, I didn't think Black Widow's offensively sucked like Kraven the Hunter. It was so drab and kind of unremarkable that I just forget. I can't remember what happens to her character in it. All right, what's next?
Well, someone says that she survived, so.
Yeah.
Anonymous says, John Thunderbolt's movie had me thinking the character who quite literally has the most blood on his hands is the one innocent, purest characters in all of MCU. Bucky was always good until he was brainwashed, forced to be evil.
Wasn't there another part to that?
Nah, it was a full thing.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the interesting thing about Bucky, right? Is that in this big group of characters who have all made mistakes and have all done bad things, Bucky never chose to do anything bad, right? Bucky was a hero until he got captured and then brainwashed.
Yeah.
And then made to do things against his will. And so that's why I think in like the Avengers world, even though he was the Winter Soldier and he did things like kill Tony Stark's parents, I think in that world, he can still be elected as a congressman because I think the world understands that that wasn't him. Like, that wasn't his fault. That wasn't his doing or his choices. And he somehow found a way to come back from all that and still be a hero and help the Avengers save the world and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that kind of makes him like that Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the others. That makes him a little bit separate from the other members of the Avengers or of the new Avengers, the Thunderbolts. All right, what's next?
The canon. Now that we are years removed, I think it's safe to say that Batman is well liked by the fandom. But I've been going back to trailer reactions, and I think that was top 5 hype going into a movie. up there with Endgame, Infinity War, Force Awakens, and No Way Home. I think it means the Pattinson.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I remember very clearly. I mean, I was hyped for it because I love Matt Reeves. I knew Robert Pattinson was going to be a great Batman. So I was hyped for it, but the general hype around the fandom was not near the same level, like not remotely in the same neighborhood level as things like Infinity War and Endgame, stuff like that. Like not even close. But I mean, it was definitely very positive. And there, by the time that movie was getting ready to come out, a lot of people had gotten over their Twilight boy kind of mentality and thought, okay, well, maybe this looks pretty good. So it was definitely good, but it wasn't anywhere near those levels. So,
yeah.
All right, what's next?
Future Man. The series finale of Righteous Gemstones was pretty perfect, but bittersweet. I haven't felt this way about a show ending in a long time, but it had a good run, and any more would have been pushing it. Feel like some shows try to prolong their ending.
Well, sure. I mean, look, success breeds longevity, right? Like if something is working, you don't want to stop. So I get that. Righteous Gemstones is a show I've never really watched. Because it's kind of a trigger thing for me in a way. Although I love everybody involved with it, and everybody I know who watches it says they really like it. One of these days I'm going to binge it. One of these days I will. But I read some nice pieces about people talking about that, you know, the show coming to its end and all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to have to watch it one of these days. All right, what's next?
We got Deshaun who says, John, no question. Just wanted to say, I hope you're in better spirits these days, and thank you for working so hard for us. The day you retire is going to suck, and I appreciate your work. Love you, and God bless you all that watch the show.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I am never not cognizant that for 20 years now, in one form or another, I've been able to do something I really love as my job. Now, whether those are times that I was working for myself and doing it, or there were periods of years there where I was working for somebody else doing it, whether it was with AMC or Complex or whatever. But yeah, I've loved what I've done. I look forward to doing what I'm doing for at least another year and a bit. But I'm still going to be doing this, and it's been a great ride, and I look forward to continuing the ride for at least another year. All right, what's next?
Bidden says, as someone who relates to Sentry, I'm glad there was no big bad in Thunderbolts. I feel like mental health is often diminished by the spectacle in these movies. Yes, Marvel has a villain problem, but not every movie needs a Joker or Thanos causing chaos.
Well, I mean, but what a good story does need is an antagonist. Now, remember, it's not always man versus monster, right? Like in the traditional storytelling structures, it can be man versus nature. It can be man versus their environment, man versus man. And so there always is an you need something like that. And listen, you needed a void. I think being a comic book film, you needed a scene like the fight scene in the old Avengers Tower. Like you got to have something like that. But you're right in the sense that in movies where you have big thematic elements, those thematic elements can get drowned out with over sensationalized visuals, like whether it's action without purpose or whatever. But in Thunderbolts, they were able to throw in action and throw in some excitement without ever losing its focus on its main thematic thread. And that was a real victory for them, I think. All right, what's next?
Brian O'Connor, just a quick tip for anyone that's using YouTube Premium. It's $13.99 directly from YouTube versus $18.99 through the App Store. Never realized there was a price difference till today.
Really?
So go to the website and pay versus like the
Yes.
That's a big...
But that's becoming a big thing now, right? With Apple. You know, I'm still a little bit, I'm going to admit, I am a little bit torn on this. Because with all apps going through the App Store, there's an Apple tax that developers have to pay Apple. Like you want to buy something through an app that's done through the App Store, Apple gets paid. And there have been these big lawsuits going on, particularly headed by the company behind Fortnite, to make it so people can make purchases outside of the App Store and not have to be forced to go through and pay the Apple tax and all that kind of stuff. And I'm for that. But at the same time, I kind of feel like if I'm Apple, and I'm more of an Android guy, even though I use an iPhone, but Android is way better. Anyway, And I say that as an iPhone user, but at the same time, hey, look, I built the iPhone. I put decades and spent billions in development, and I built the iPhone. And I should be allowed to say what can and can't go on a device that I made. Tons of other devices, tons of other gear can only be used with proprietary other stuff, right? So I'm kind of torn. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like good. Now places don't have to pay the Apple tax, but at the same time, I feel like, well, but if you're building something based on something that is my creation, I get to be a gatekeeper on it. And if you want to use my device to profit for yourself, I should be allowed to tax you for it. I don't know. So I go back and forth. I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't really come to a final conclusion how I feel about it myself. All right, what's next?
We got AJ who says Sunlux absolutely nailed Century's first flight in Thunderbolts. It filled me with awe and an overwhelming sense of wonder. The strings gave me Oppenheimer vibes, so haunting and beautiful. Felt like we were stepping into a complete unknown with the MCU.
I'll tell you what, one of the big, with all the hype and praise that Thunderbolts gets, I think one of the really overlooked things is the soundtrack of the movie. The soundtrack is wonderful. The music cues are always perfect. They really accentuate the scene. That scene you're pointing out is a perfect example of it. And I never even heard of these guys.
Sunlux.
Yeah, I never even heard of Sunlux before this. And then Jonathan was the one who pointed out to me they're the same people who did the soundtrack for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm like, well, they killed it. They really, really did.
Yeah. Even like Bucky's reveal on the motorcycle, it was so like
so
it was so
good.
heroic, you
Yeah.
know? I loved it.
All right, what's next?
The Tick. I thought theaters were undergoing a self-inflicted slow motion demise at the current rate. May not make it to 2035. News today makes me think it's no longer entirely self-inflicted, not in slow motion, and they won't be around in 5 years, if not sooner.
Okay, so I think I know what you're talking about, Tick. But guys, if you're going to make references like that, mention what it is you're
Right,
talking about.
yeah.
I'm assuming he's talking about the 100%
Yeah.
tariffs and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
I have my doubts it even actually happens, honestly. But we'll
no,
see.
I don't think it can. Actually, there's been a lot of questions raised about even that Donald Trump, as president, doesn't actually have the legal authority to do that.
Yeah.
But at any rate, it does put the emphasis back on the notion that theaters do face a lot of challenges.
Yes.
Some of them, some significant parts of them, are self-inflicted.
Very much so.
They're, like I've often said, if the movie theater industry dies, on the tombstone it'll read death by suicide. But there are external forces as well that present challenges to them. And sometimes stuff like this is yet another one of them. All right, what's next?
Logan says, in honor of May the 4th and Revenge of the 5th, here's a Star Wars question for you. Rank these three scores: the Duel of Fates, Imperial March, opening credits. I think I had it at opening credits, Duel of Fates, Imperial March.
Nah, I'm not going to rank them.
Because they're all too good.
They're all great. I mean, listen, I have said, I think the greatest single piece of music from any movie ever is the Imperial March. So that answers that.
There you go.
But I mean, with the other two, they're both great. So,
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Dildar the Glorious with the title for Thunderbolts changing to New Avengers, is it technically Avengers 5 or something? No.
Again, make no mistake, they have not changed the title of the movie.
Also, New Avengers in the comics was a completely different line from the Avengers that ran concurrent with Avengers.
Yep.
Same as Secret Avengers, New Avengers, you know.
But again, guys, they have not changed the title of the movie. Yes, I know they put the little label over it on the posters. That's a marketing gimmick. The name of the movie is still Thunderbolts. All right. What's next?
I just got to mention that the issue Breakout from the New Avengers storyline is like one of my favorite comics.
Oh, cool. You've been keeping up?
No. Just when they Sentry is broken out of the prison.
Oh, God. Yes.
All right. What's next?
I Am Justice says, do you think Thrawn would be able to deduce that Luthen is a rebel if he analyzed his art museum? God, I would have loved to have seen Gilroy write Thrawn only in my dreams. You never know.
No, because that's a collection of art.
Right. It wasn't a theme.
Remember, what
necessarily.
Thrawn would do was he was able to deduce a lot about a culture by looking at the art of the culture.
Right.
Luthen's museum is a collection of art from multiple cultures all over the galaxy. So, no, if Thrawn was investigating Luthen, could he deduce that Luthen was, what's the name? What do they call him? What's his code name? Axis, or
Oh, yeah.
might be Axis? I think anyway.
Yeah, Access.
That I think Thrawn maybe could deduce it, but could Thrawn just walk into that art museum and look at it and say, Luthen must be Axis? No, because that's not him. That's not his art. It's not his culture's art. It is a collection of art from all over the galaxy. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt Films seems like the Hays Code of 1934 is soon upon us. No diversity of art is literally propaganda and censorship.
You know, when we did our discussion about the topic yesterday, I specifically tried to limit my commentary, and I did. I successfully did. Limited my commentary to the actual ins and outs, the pragmatism and the practicality of the idea of tariffs on films and the confusion that it's caused. I purposely didn't start going into wider, more philosophical implications, and I did that on purpose. I'll still resist doing that for now, but you're not wrong. All right, what's next?
Touch Me says, I love when Ellie made this face, and it's like a shocked face for those listening. When she carelessly slammed the tank's hatch, I think all of us did.
I love little details like it, because that happens, right? That thing when she accidentally like dropped the lid and all of a sudden this big bang, you're like, oh my God. Like I felt that tension as well. I thought that was a really cute little scene. I like that a lot. All right, what's next?
Dig says, in the Thunderbolts initial credit roll, I really enjoyed these headlines. Be Avengers.
Yeah.
JW writing his taco shield was so funny, so self-aware of them to do it. I hope they keep it as a trend for their next movies. It would actually make me watch it.
No, I think it was clever and original for them to do it here. Now, if you just keep doing it, then
Headlines, everything.
yeah, no, that I don't think that works, but I thought it worked really great here. My favorite one was Not My Avengers, because that's exactly what you would be reading in social media, right? I thought that, but the Be Avengers one was really good, and
The taco one. Was
and
so
they're like, you know what, this works for me. That was another one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was a very creative thing, but yeah, I don't think they should repeat it.
No.
Yeah, I
That
think
was
they should just leave it at that. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Steph says, I saw a report about Kevin Feige being stretched very thin in the beginning of the 2020s. I read some comments on Twitter saying that this is just an excuse for them making bad films in the past. But wasn't there reporting back then on Feige being overworked?
Well, I mean, listen, I said way back in the day, like, okay, look, when Kevin Feige and Marvel had me come in to moderate the press day for the entire Avengers Age of Ultron cast, about 15 minutes before we started, I was standing outside in the back and waiting for Kevin, and Feige pulls up on a golf cart that some kid was driving. And he looked flustered. I'm like, how you doing? And he's like, he's just crazy busy. He said, I just came from one thing where I had to review a latest trailer. I think it was for an Ant-Man movie. The last night I was up late on phone calls discussing this project. And now we got to do, like, today we got to do our media stuff. And he was being pulled in a lot of directions, right?
Yep.
That was when they were putting out like 3 things a year. And I said, as the years progress, the more and more stuff, it's like you're going to see Marvel drop in quality because the main driving creative force behind Marvel films is Kevin Feige. And the less and less he can actually be involved in each film, you're going to see it deteriorate a bit. Then came the Bob Chapek eras, where Bob Chapek, and we know this is true because a Marvel executive confirmed this, where the marching orders from Bob Chapek was produce as much as you can, as fast as you can. That was the direct quote. And he took away Kevin Feige's ability to greenlight projects. He took away Kevin Feige's ability to decide where projects would go. He stripped Kevin Feige of a lot of his authority and still made him responsible for cranking the stuff out. So I would say there is a combination of things. Number one, if you don't think somebody trying to go from being directly in charge of and overseeing 3 projects to suddenly being in charge of 7 projects a year, if you don't think that's going to lead to a reduction in quality, you're an idiot. Of course it will.
And the launch of Disney Plus was really something probably he wasn't prepared for either. I mean, that was all for Disney Plus, wasn't it? Like the release things, a part of it was to get content out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, but then again, it was going to be measured. It was going to be like they had a lot of projects lined up, but they were also spread out. And then the Chapek era came, and the mandate: create as much as you can, as fast as you can, and
kinda
that
unfair.
impacted it as well. So when Bob Iger came back in and proclaimed, we are going to focus more on quality than quantity. We are going to scale back the amount of stuff that we're producing for Marvel. And he gave Kevin Feige his authority back that Bob Chapek had stripped. I think that set us onto a path now where we're starting. I'm not going to say we're back yet. We're starting to see the quality return to Marvel product. Captain America, Brave New World, not so much, but a lot of the things prior to that leading up, I feel like we're just starting to feel it coming back. And if Thunderbolts is any indication, then we could be in for a good ride. Hopefully, fingers crossed. All right, what's next?
We got that goal horny guy. He's horny for goals. Tonight, John, game 1. This was last night, actually.
Yeah.
Panthers and Leafs. Turns on leaf blower. Vroom, vroom. All jokes aside, really looking forward to this series. I don't take any teams lightly, so this should be a fun one. Go Cats.
Oh, I honestly never thought. Am I getting my focus back? Yes, there I am. I never thought at all. I still don't think that the Leafs have a chance against the Panthers. Like they're the defending Stanley Cup champions. They looked great against Tampa Bay.
Is this the semifinals or is this the finals?
This is the quarterfinals now.
Okay, so they got 2 more series to go
Yeah.
if they get past.
Yeah, so they just beat Ottawa in round 1. So yay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is sending a membership gift to somebody.
Thank you.
You know what? As a Leafs fan, I'm super happy. If the season ended next week, I feel super happy. They actually won a playoff series. That hasn't happened a lot in my lifetime, and I feel good about it. And I don't honestly think they have a chance of beating the Panthers. But they went in there and won game 1. And even though they only won by 1, it was actually a convincing win.
Was it a home game or a away game?
It was a home game.
Oh, so they had a better record than the Panthers.
Yeah. But that doesn't really mean it. The Panthers didn't have a fabulous record last year. Yeah, I mean, they had a really good record, but they didn't have a fabulous, and they just dominated the playoffs. But man, I mean, if they can beat the Panthers, they can win the Stanley Cup.
One more question.
Sure.
In the roadmap to a Stanley Cup, is this the toughest team that they would face if you look at the rest of the map? Which is the toughest team that they could possibly face in this?
Not even going to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Not
You
like
don't want to even think about it?
Let's just put it this way. Like I just said, I didn't even think they could. I don't think they can get past the Panthers. But if they do, to quote the Boston Celtics winning the NBA championship,
Anything is possible.
anything is possible.
So they're playing
Like,
with house money.
Yes, exactly. They're playing with house money. If they can get by the Panthers, I am going to start. I'm going to start to hope that maybe a Stanley Cup berth might be in the thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Ugh.
All right. What's next?
Raymond
Stressing me out.
Raymond says, I've seen online that Disney has now come out with new Avengers posters and billboards. Will it confuse people who haven't seen the movie yet? As a spoiler alert, I wish they kept it as Thunderbolts for a surprise for first-time moviegoers.
It's not important. I mean, that's the thing, right? First of all, anybody who's really interested in seeing the Thunderbolts, they would have heard from social media and all that kind of stuff after 4 or 5 days. And even if you haven't, it's a little thing that happens at the very end that's not really tied into the overall scope of the story of the movie. So, like, if they had, for an example's sake, if this were The Sixth Sense, and then, like, after opening weekend, M. Night pulled a marketing gimmick where he went out to the poster of Sixth Sense and titled the movie, "He's Dead All Along." Well, that's giving away a major thing about the entire point of the plot. That's not the case here. It's not. It's a little thing. And if anything, I think it just brought more attention to it. So I've honestly not seen anybody get upset about it yet. But it doesn't spoil anything. It spoils a little thing that happens at the end that isn't really super relevant to the entirety of the narrative of the story. So I'm not worried about it. All right, what's next?
Redfish1 says most live action remakes fall flat because the original was the best version of that idea in execution. So you're left with doing a shot for shot. What's the point? Or making changes that are objectively worse. Save it for movies with missed potential.
I think you're wrong.
If you do it with it's not missed potential.
like-
Those movies fail for a reason.
Take, for example, The Boys. The Boys is much better than the original graphic novel. It just is. I mean, obviously that's open to everybody's personal opinion, but for people like me and Rob that had read The Boys and know it, like, this was better. And there are examples of that happening. But here's the main thing. Like, people who go, well, what's the point of it? What's the point of any movie? The point of any movie is to give us an experience. I've always said movies are experiential events, right? We go into a movie to have an experience, whether that experience is sadness or deep thought or excitement or fear or laughter or tension or thrills, whatever it is. Different movies aim to deliver different experiences, but at the end of the day, all movies are experiential events. I just saw in Las Vegas a few weeks ago the full live action version of How to Train Your Dragon. And it's magnificent. It's fantastic. Well, if you've already seen the animated film, what was the point? Because in a different medium, it's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
I love the original animated How to Train Your Dragon. I love those movies. This was a different experience. Even though it's the same story, it's a different experience watching it this way. It delivered a unique, on its own experience, even though it's following the same story as the original animated thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you make and tell these stories because you're looking to deliver unique experience. Again, one of the greatest people consider couple of the greatest horror movies, The Fly, The Thing. Guess what? Both of those are remakes. They're both remakes. Scarface, it's a remake. Lord of the Rings, guess what? That had already been done. It was animated form, granted, but they had already done Lord of the Rings. The point is that whether you're basing a work on a previous movie, whether you're basing it on a previous work, be it a graphic novel, television show, folk tale, song, whatever, you're looking to create something that has its own unique experience. And when you're able to do that, like Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella is fantastic. Guy Ritchie's Aladdin,
Yeah. Which banked $1 billion. So
which
it's like,
made $1 billion.
So it's like, what's the point?
It was fantastic.
Leave the $1 billion on the ground.
And do I prefer the original animated? Yeah, I do. But this gave its own experience. And that's why you make movies.
And also, I think there's like two factors too with the How to Train Your Dragon. Like Jonathan mentioned a while ago, there's some people who just don't watch animated movies.
Yeah.
True.
So
Yep,
to deprive
unfortunately.
themselves of such a good movie, they get a chance to see it. And also, we're all getting older. There's a new generation haven't seen this movie at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
this could
true
be their
too.
first viewing. So there's a high reward to this for the studio.
And here's the thing too. Like, I remember when The Departed came out. It was a remake of my all-time favorite cop film, Infernal Affairs. And instead of stealing attention away from Infernal Affairs, you know what happened to Infernal Affairs? It had its highest rental. This is back in the day when it was rentals. Highest rentals that it ever had. Why? Because they made another version of it. Them making a new version brought more attention to the original than it ever had. And I think, to Ray's point, when like How to Train Your Dragon comes out, you're going to see a big uptick in the original animated stuff getting VOD'd. You're going to see a huge influx of upticks on people. There are going to be people who have never seen the original animated one that will now go back and watch the original animated one because of the new one. So there's a lot of potential benefits. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Ryan says, saw Thunderbolts, really liked it, though I feel like this movie should have come out shortly after Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Do you think it's possible that Feige wanted to release it sooner but wasn't allowed to?
It's possible, but I think when you understand where the movie ends up, I think it fits in exactly where it needs to fit in. Especially with some of the narrative stuff they set up at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's possible Feige wanted to move this forward
Well,
like a little bit ahead, but I think it probably ended up right where it needed to be. All right. What's next?
Yeah, because Bucky had to be in a certain place, too.
Yeah. Bucky has to be in a certain place. the little rocket at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Logan, I could see the Void making a fantastic prison for Doom at the end of Secret Wars. Bob sacrifices himself so the Void can forever imprison Doom in his own trauma. Something like the Phantom Zone, maybe Strange locks them in the mirror dimension.
That would assume that you can control the Void.
Right.
Hey, Void, just get this guy and leave everybody else alone.
Whoa,
How about
all
that?
right.
boy.
Yeah, Void, do me a favor.
Remember that favor?
Just hold this guy and leave everybody else alone.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see them doing that. I am very, very like, look, my theory is that by the time we get to Secret Wars, either Loki or Sentry/Void will take the place story-wise that Molecule Man plays in that story. Obviously, we're not going to have Molecule Man here, right? But I think the role Molecule Man plays is either going to be supplanted by Loki taking that role or Sentry/the Void, or a combination of the both. So I think it's going to be one of those two. All right, what's next?
Mr. I says, so Mr. Show Thursday got to my local Regal at 2:20. Movie started at 2:50. At 3:15, the power went out due to thunderstorms.
Oh, no.
I ended up seeing more trailers and commercials than movie, but did get 2 free tickets to make up for it. Saw Thunderbolts Friday.
Yeah, listen, when you understand all the technical moving pieces that go into just having a movie screening in a movie, I'm actually shocked that more problems don't happen. And I'm okay when something goes wrong at a theater. Obviously, nobody does it on purpose. To me, it's always when something goes wrong, and this is true of any company, not just movie theaters. I'm okay with it. Mistakes happen, accidents happen. The question is, does the company do something to try to make up for it? And so I've been in a movie theater once where like the projector went out halfway through the movie. And as we were walking out, the manager and assistant manager were standing at the door, handing out a free pass to come back to another movie and a free popcorn and free soda thing. It's like, you know what? Accidents happen. Things like that happen. And they try to make good on it. And when they do that, I'm totally good with it. It's fine. It happens. All right. What's next?
Fanata Chat says, I truly hope the Stitch animatronic used from recent promotions makes it to Disneyland or Disney parks. It's so adorable and lively. I can already imagine the meet and greet opportunity. Cheers, John and crew.
You know, Anne and her friend Kat just went to Disneyland on Sunday. I think it was Sunday they went. And as they were walking around the Avengers, what do they call that area? Avengers Land?
It's like compound or...
Yeah, the Avengers, whatever, Playhouse. Avengers Playhouse. So they'll sometimes have like people walking
Campus.
Avengers Campus. Thank you, Marcus Y.
University. Yep.
Avengers Campus, as she was walking around, they'll have characters dressed up as Marvel heroes. They now have Red Guardian there. So Anne and Kat were able to catch up to Red Guardian and get a picture with Red Guardian. Like, where's Yelena? Well, Yelena is with new friends. Yelena, it was really, really funny. She recorded some of it anyway.
That's funny.
So that was one of the great things. And yes, I think having a Stitch running around would be pretty fun.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, thoughts on Marvel spoiling the asterisk mean what it means now? Hell, the poster on Rotten Tomatoes spoils it. Well, they're everywhere. They're on bus
They're
stops.
everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
Ray, thoughts on how they portrayed Sentry, knowing he's one of your favorites?
I loved it. It's like, because I love what they did with it. It made sense. It totally made sense. That's all I got to say about it. I mean, they're going to nerf his powers. I really like that actor.
They didn't really nerf his powers, though, did they? Like, he was beating the crap
They
out
will.
of everybody
They
without
will
ease.
nerf his powers.
Oh, they will.
They
right.
will nerf his powers. I just thought it was way better than I expected. The suit when he first walks down into the stairs, right down the stairs, when it first came out, I was like, oh, I don't know if I like that, because it felt so out of place from like the regular. Because like even though the Thunderbolts were in their garb, it looked normal. Like you could walk down the street.
Tactical.
Yeah,
like tactical. Yeah.
So when he came out with that, I was
Except
like,
for maybe Red Guardian.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense, but I don't know if. And then we realized it's DeFonte.
Yeah.
That was her
Design.
Her
sprucing,
thing, yeah.
sprucing him up for the public, and then everything was fine after.
Yeah.
that. So,
Everything made sense.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Well, we got frustrated viewer. Hey, John Crew, is it possible to do your spoiler reviews towards the end of a show? Then I can't be the only one that watch shows as as soon as they air, and doing this before the mailbag is a good point. It just depends on the headlines and the stories of it. We have done them as our final.
Yeah,
sure.
no, I'm not going to do
But-
that. Like, look, we when we're reviewing an episode of a show, we let people know we're going to be doing this. And here's the thing. Again, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I don't care. This has always been my philosophy. I've always been very, very clear about this. When it comes to movies, we like to give some buffer before discussing big spoilers, other than the stuff that's made public by the studio.
Yeah.
Or made public by the filmmakers or stuff like that. But with television,
Mm-hmm.
I look at it very differently. Again, I bring up the example. People say that's not the same. It is the same. If I wanted to watch a baseball game one night on TV and I missed it, it's not up to ESPN to not spoil how the game ended.
Right.
It's like
You got to not
the show
turn in.
aired, it's on TV, and my opinion has always been, like, I remember once my favorite show at the time, and I think my second or third favorite show of all time is Sons of Anarchy, which is why I got the cut back here, autographed by the whole cast, by the way. And I missed the episode one night where Ope dies. He's my favorite character. And I saw it on social media.
Yeah.
But I knew that's my fault. If I miss a show when it airs, and it's aired now publicly, anybody could have watched it. My philosophy is it is not other people's responsibility to hide something from me.
Mm-hmm.
It is my responsibility to avoid social media and stuff like that. Like if you want to catch a game and you're recording it at home, then you stay off social media until you get home and can watch the recording of the game to see how it turned out and see who won. It's not everybody else's responsibility to keep it secret. Now, I understand that not everybody can watch a show when it drops. I totally understand that. But that doesn't change the fact then that it's your responsibility. If you miss a show when it comes out, it's your responsibility to protect yourself from finding out spoilers about it. I feel differently about movies, but about TV shows. And yet, even then, the next day when we're talking about it on our show, whether we're talking about, Last of Us or Andor or whatever, we put up the warning. We let you know we're about to talk about this show. We're going to talk about it.
And
in
now
some
we have
detail.
lower thirds too, so you can see the lower third.
Yeah,
will
we even
come-
have a lower third about
so like
it.
that'll
So-
be like if that's a spoiler, you see that you go away.
Yeah. So again, I think we do everything appropriately. I feel very good about the way we do it. I feel good about the way we approach it. And if you're really sensitive about it, and there's nothing wrong with that if you are, then I would propose, much like it was my own, I acknowledge it was my own fault that I found out about Ope, and it is each individual's responsibility to avoid finding out stuff if they miss something on TV. It is not everybody else's responsibility to protect you. So that's always been my philosophy of it, and will continue to be my philosophy about it until I eventually retire.
We also do timestamps. So
And we do timestamps.
So
Yeah,
follow
that's
the
all there too.
timestamps to avoid.
All right, what's next?
Ronetta, hi y'all. I couldn't believe I teared up a couple times with Thunderbolts. David Harbour is a gem, MVP of the film. Loved him. Already saw Sinners 5 times.
That's so good.
Wow, man. And we'll be taking my mom and her friend for Mother's Day this coming Saturday. I was actually quite impressed with the mixed audience, like age groups and stuff.
Yep.
For that.
Yeah, I agree. Like when Ann and I saw it the second time, it was young, old. I mean, it was all over the place. It's wonderful. And again, for me, the most impressive thing about David Harbour as Red Guardian in Thunderbolts is he's not just comic relief. And I've mentioned this before, but his ability to go from saying something totally ridiculous and hilarious, and then the next second, he's very emotionally true. And says something deep and gets serious. Like he says something funny, realizes Yelena's in pain, and vroom, immediately he's completely different. And David Harbour's ability to have Red Guardian swing like that back and forth makes Alexi a really, really cool character.
He has a great way of adapting to the scene, right?
Yes, completely adapts to it.
One last thing I want to add: the Void was awesome. The way they did him was terrifying, because in the comics he's usually like a symbiote. It's just like a dark shadow.
Right.
But it never looked like the form that he took in this film where it looked like lights out, but a silhouette of the Sentry, right? That's terrifying to me. I mean, if I saw that in an alleyway, I'd be like, no, I'm going the long way.
Well, because in the comic books, Void is manifested differently in the comics. Like
Right.
sometimes it's this huge monstrous
It's like a
demon
blob.
looking thing. But the thing about just Bob, but completely blacked out.
And then when
It's terrifying.
and when you started turning black, that was awesome
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
What a
so
sight.
good. All right, what's next?
Robert, hi John, love the show. I've been tapped out of Marvel since 2022, but with Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, I've been wanting to get back into it. Do you think it's worth going through the content I've missed, or should I just jump in?
Well, I mean, there is some content you should jump back in on. Like, when did Guardians come out? 2023?
2020.
I think it was 2023. I could be wrong about that. But if you've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy 3, definitely jump on that. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, that was 23.
That was 23. So definitely go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Definitely watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I would recommend checking out Daredevil Born Again. I even liked Agatha. I thought, Agatha, had higher viewership than Daredevil did.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I'm so glad he asked this question because I'm actually going to go back. I never saw Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I never watched
the
that
series.
series.
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually want to go back just for the John Walker parts because he was such an asshole in the movie. I was like, how did he become this asshole? I want to know.
I didn't love Falcon and Winter Soldier, but it's pretty good. Falcon and Winter Soldier is pretty good.
It's okay.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I just saw that Grant Gustin's first ever appearance as Barry Allen was on Arrow Season 2. It was over 10 years ago. I remember how unsure I felt about Flash. I didn't think he'd fit in given how grounded Arrow was, but ended up loving him. Well, he grew on me, to be honest.
Listen, I'll tell you straight up. I thought it was a bad idea. I did. I admit it. I thought that doing a Flash show was a stupid idea. And I ended up, at least for a number of years, really loving it. It ran out of gas way before they finally pulled the plug on the show. But for a long while, I really enjoyed that show. And Grant was fabulous in the role. He really was. I never believed that they should have brought him over to the movie universe. That was one thing. The movies are a different thing entirely. And the CW Flash worked great in the CW. I don't think it would have worked great in a movie universe. That being said, Grant was wonderful in the role. And I ended up loving that show for a number of years. All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, hi team, just got a Thunderbolts. Loved it, to be honest. Wanted to ask, since we found out Thunderbolts, they filmed the post-credit scene a month before release. Has the chance increased we see RDJ in the Fantastic Four post-credit? Seems likely, or no?
No, I still don't think. Look, I don't think. It's so weird to me that so many people still actually think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in Fantastic Four. He's not. Now, is it possible they could have him in a post-credit scene? It's possible. I still don't think they will, though.
Mm.
I really don't think they're going to have him in a post-credit scene. Number one, I just think what they would have to pay Robert Downey Jr., even just to be in a post-credit scene, it makes it cost prohibitive. But yeah, I just don't think they will. They could. I'm not saying I have insider information saying they won't. I don't. I'm just speculating just like everybody else. But I don't think he's going to be in there at all. All right, what's next?
Stubble says, after Avengers Endgame in 2019, there's been 14 MCU movies. After Star Wars Episode 9 in 2019, there's been 0 Star Wars. 14 to 0.
It was funny though when we did that list yesterday, because we ended up, now that Thunderbolts is out, we did our rankings of all the Marvel films that have come out since Endgame, and it is stunning to think that since Endgame, which does not feel long ago, there have been 14 MCU movies. We're not even counting Disney Plus.
Yeah.
14 MCU movies have come out,
I
which is
couldn't-
crazy. But Star Wars, 0.
I just couldn't believe the one that got me was that the Far From Home was after Endgame. I was
Yep.
like, wow.
Yeah, Far From Home was the first movie that came out after
Which makes
Endgame.
sense when you understand the story, but I was
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
All right, what's next?
We got a two-parter from Brian. As someone who didn't like Ragnarok, I felt reaffirmed by Love and Thunder. Ragnarok may have done well for Thor as a character overall, but it rubbed me the wrong way when it released. My expectations were for something more serious than funny. When Love and Thunder came around, I felt it was an I told you so moment for me. Taika's comedy with Thor just wasn't for me, and I was surprised it took 2 movies for everyone else to agree. I appreciate Ragnarok a bit more, but it's still not a fave.
No, people do not agree. That's the thing. People do not agree. Taika's humor is great, and it worked great in Thor Ragnarok. That's why everybody loves Thor Ragnarok. That's why the audience ratings and everything on it are so high. The problem with Love and Thunder was that he swung the pendulum way too far that way.
Yeah.
Like, the thing that made Thor Ragnarok so great, in my opinion, was that great balance of the humor and the heaviness. And he balanced it out great. Like, seriously, other than Infinity War, Thor Ragnarok is like the darkest MCU film. Like, Odin dies. Thor loses an eye. Thor's sister dies. Asgard is destroyed.
Yep.
I mean, there's heavy, dark stuff that happens, and there are heavy, dark moments, but it's balanced out by like I'm sorry, but one of the greatest single moments in any MCU film ever is Piss Off Ghost. That I still, when I watch that movie, I laugh my ass off.
Korg.
Whenever, like, seriously, and in that, Taika's humor really shone because he balanced it perfectly. They took the wrong lesson, though, when they made Thor Love and Thunder. And I still think Thor Love and Thunder has its moments. It really does. There are moments in Thor Love and Thunder that I laugh a lot. But the big problem with Love and Thunder was that instead of maintaining that balance, they seemed to take away the lesson that it was just the humor that made it work. And so everything went hyper silly.
And they wasted gore. It's just...
Well, and that's why they wasted gore,
Yeah.
because they decided to go hyper silly
Yeah.
instead of maintaining that balance of having Ragnarok. So yeah, people agreed that Thor Love and Thunder, the humor didn't quite work.
Right.
Some of it did.
Doesn't change how I feel about
but
Ragnarok
it doesn't
at all.
change anything but it was brilliant and the humor was fantastic.
And as crappy
In,
as Dark World was, I think Gore was better suited for that movie. Like that sort of like, because when Ragnarok
tone
came
and everything.
Yeah, if you looked at the Ragnarok posters for that time, that was a very bright poster. It was a very bright movie with a lot of serious.
Yeah, it was a take
tones.
on like the heavy metal thing of the 80s and all that. It was
Right.
cool.
Other than Guardians, I think those were like the two like most bright, like colorful films that
Yeah.
they had out.
All right, what's next?
Cool Kid. Why do you think Stephen King has more adaptations than other well-known authors like James Patterson, Nora Roberts, John Grisham, etc.?
He's got stuff that's more easily adaptable to the screen, and it becomes a prestige thing to say it's a, one of his, based on his works. It becomes a little bit, not to mention, he also has some very diverse stuff.
That's
right?
true. There's a lot of stuff that comes out that I'm like, that's Stephen King.
Like like Stand By Me was Stephen King, was it not?
Yep,
Yeah.
you're right.
Like, like you're looking at that kind of stuff. So it's really well diverse, and there's an instant marketing thing when you
Yeah.
say adapted from a Stephen King thing. So
Even
that's
The
probably
Long
why.
Mile. It's not necessarily like a horror film,
How about negotiations with an author? Is it usually fairly tough to get a movie made from
Nope.
an author? Because I was about to say,
Authors want that money, man.
yeah,
They
I was
want
about to
that
say,
money.
maybe Stephen King's the Netflix of authors.
Yeah, go ahead, make it.
Yeah, go ahead, make it.
But you still gotta have a work that can be adapted well,
Yeah.
and he's just got a lot of that.
But speaking of Grisham, man, he really dominated the 90s.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I kind of miss those kind of movies. Hi, John. I saw Thunderbolts 3 times and enjoy it more each time. Love it. Fun fact, Bob is the same Bob as, Top Gun Maverick is the same actor, both actor
Yep.
and character name.
Yeah, we discussed that ad nauseum. Which, again, it's funny because being Bill Pullman's son,
Rest in peace.
that makes what?
No, I thought didn't Bill Pullman die? Oh no, Pattinson. Pat, sorry, I'm thinking about someone else. Sorry. Don't die, Bill Pullman. Don't die. I'm sorry.
That's Lone Star you're talking about. So, like, you saw, like, it was interesting to say, yeah, the guy who plays Bob in Top Gun Maverick, that's Pullman's son. It's like, okay, but I mean, there really wasn't anything. He didn't do much in that movie. There wasn't much for him to do, right? So that was fine. And so I thought it was interesting that they got him to replace Stephen Yeun as Sentry, but I was not expecting him to be that good. He was so good in this role, and it was really a pleasant surprise.
Yep.
All right, what's next?
We got Riley. Just want to say you've inspired me to watch Battlestar Galactica with the showrunner Ronald D. Moore. Ordered the complete series on Blu-ray from Amazon. Yeah, I can't find it to stream it anywhere. And once it gets here, it's time to go. Thank you, John, and I bet I'll enjoy it.
I know you'll enjoy it. It is, again, I think it's the greatest television show ever made. And Ronald D. Moore now he's going to be doing God of War, which is going to be so great. I could have swore I know I watched it on Peacock.
It
So
was there.
Maybe did they pull it?
It might have to renegotiate the license. I don't know, but it was there. And then when I searched it, I can't find it.
What show are we talking about?
Battlestar
Star.
Galactica.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
Ray, part 1 of 2. Just my opinion, but I feel The Last of Us is taking off of Walking Dead. Ellie is Maggie, Joel is Glenn, Abby is Negan. Abby even beat to death Joel with a sports weapon like a golf club instead of a baseball bat like Negan. I know episode 3 is season 1 is great, but so was Walking Dead episode when Rick realized Carl killed his mom in the prison. I say that was Walking Dead at its prime. We all know how huge the show was in its prime. Everyone was talking about The Walking Dead.
I think that's a stretch. I really do.
It's really easy to find similarities and be like, oh, this is just this. It's parallel, but
yeah,
they're different.
I could do that with Suits. If I really wanted to sit down and find similarities, like I could find thematic similarities between Suits and this. These are very different shows. Yeah, Walking Dead and this are quite frankly, I think this is a much better show than Walking Dead, but that's just my personal opinion. Whatever. I liked Walking Dead for a while.
It just got played out.
To me, it got played out a lot earlier than it did for other people. Like I really liked the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then I was like, yeah, it's just the same thing again. But
And where those characters, like you could say right now in this point in time, you could draw a parallel, but where the characters go, they end up are not parallel to Walking Dead.
yeah, I really don't see it at all. And I'm saying what now, by the way, me saying that it got played out really fast, I could be saying the exact same thing about Last of Us if it lasts 5 or 6 seasons.
Right.
I could be saying the same thing about it then. But right now it's a very unique and different show, and it approaches it differently. So are there some thematic similarities? Sure, but I could draw those lines to just about any show, really. All right, what's next?
We got Michael who says, what if the Fantastic Four lose in the incursion to use the incursion to escape, dooming that Earth? Reed feels so guilty and won't let his pride aside, then makes questionable choices on how to protect. Somehow or another, making Sue get involved with Namor.
No.
I don't think they're going to have time for love triangles.
No. I mean, look, there's an argument to be made too that Reed, because why am I freezing on the name of the character he becomes? It's not the leader. It's not the founder.
Oh, yeah.
I was just talking about him the other week. I just did a big thing on this character, and now I'm freezing. And you guys remember who does the Maker?
The Maker, yeah.
So I could totally see him, something like that happen, feeling guilty and got punched and whatever, and that universe's version of him becomes the Maker. They could do that. I don't think they will, because we're only meeting the Fantastic Four for the first time now. So I don't know if they'll do that. If they do, it'd be kind of interesting. But no, they're not going to play the storyline where she gets involved. That's not something they're going to do in the movies.
Yeah.
I feel pretty confident saying that, even though I don't know for a fact, but I don't believe at all they're going to follow that storyline.
Yeah. Oh, and Ray, I think you were thinking of Bill Paxton.
Yeah, no, that's
Bill
exactly.
Oh yeah,
right.
Bill
I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I'm very sorry, Mr. Bill Pullman.
Michael says, hello, love you guys. You make my 9 to 5 an easier day with your show. Do you think the Fantastic Four end credits could be Fantastic Four getting to Earth, but be met with Sam's Avengers, and there we get to see characters that were not on the chair watch?
Nah. But here's what happens. Like, I don't even think that what we see at the end of Thunderbolts
Is necessarily
represents the end of what happens in Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And I talked about that a little bit in the open spoiler discussion. So I don't think, okay, is that possible what you're proposing? Absolutely, it's possible. But I don't think that's what they're going to do though. So we'll see.
Can you confirm for me something? Did you see it in IMAX, the Thunderbolts?
Twice.
Either one of those.
Yep.
Did they actually do a special countdown with the Fantastic
Yeah,
Four?
we talked about that earlier in the show.
Okay. I
when
just
you were out
wanted to
there,
make
yeah.
sure.
They
'Cause I
did.
heard.
Both times.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
50% of the time, every time. Sino John says probably the game of the year came out last week. I've heard of this. It's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33. Watch a cutscene video. It's fully voice acted with great talent. It's the highest rated game ever on Metacritic from a small French studio. I am hesitant because I hate turn-based games.
Yeah, me
but
too.
I've heard
Oh,
about
I love
Me too.
turn-based
But I've heard of
games.
them. Yeah.
Kevin, Tommy, all of them are playing it right now.
I've
Ryan-
never even
Ryan-
heard of this.
It
new.
came out as some guy from Ubisoft. He was bored at Ubisoft, decided to leave, make his own game, and he just proves that smaller studios can
I'll
make
see if I
AAA
can-
games.
Is this a
It's on Game Pass for free right now. It's on
the only thing I care about is it on
yeah, it's on every
PlayStation
PlayStation
Game,
as well.
yeah, there you go.
You might
all
have to
right.
pay for
Well,
it.
okay, the Expedition 33.
Yeah, everyone's loving it. From
What I'm hoping
All
is
right.
it actually brings down the price of Baldur's Gate, which is still $70.
Oh,
I'm
Baldur's
hoping if
Gate.
people go to this, that goes down.
Are they still charging $70
Yes,
for Baldur's
that's why I
Gate?
haven't purchased it yet.
It is the greatest game of all
Yeah,
time, as
I
far as
mean,
I'm concerned.
no
I love that
DLC,
game so
nothing.
much. No DLC, no nothing. Just boom.
Boom,
you get
you
the
get
whole game.
the whole thing.
No microtransactions.
You hear me, Madden?
I don't mind DLC if it's like a new, like it's more game like down the road, like 2 years later, and it's like a sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I hate microtransactions.
All right, we got time for just a couple more.
All right, hey John and crew, I recently watched
Who
this.
read it?
Oh, Angel, sorry. Watched Shawshank Redemption. What a great movie. Brooks' ending is heartbreaking. Just wanted to hear your thoughts on the film.
It's one of the greatest films of all time. It might be the most. It might be the singularly most perfect movie ever made. It has always been from the year it came out. It's been in my top 10 greatest films of all time. It's in my top 5 greatest films of all time, and it's just utter perfection. Like I don't know what you can do in that movie to improve it. Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman. I mean, it's just every act of it, every scene, everything about it, and then that end. When he's kneeling in the water and his arms stretched out and the rain falling down, your heart just swells, and it's like it's a perfect movie. Shawshank Redemption is a perfect movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Anonymous says, I really love Thunderbolts. Florence Pugh carried this film big time. Also, I believe the tariffs are just a way to force people's hand. It's not Trump's fault that we lost 40%. That's true. Of U.S. production. Now Newsom in California will be forced to offer incentive. But that's not the way it works.
Okay, that's not how anything works.
No.
That's not how it works. Now, first of all, number one, absolutely you're right. It is not the current administration's fault that this is the circumstance.
Yeah.
It is not. It's a collection of administrations over the years and years and,
And
years.
it's been
and years.
slipping and slipping and slipping.
Yeah, but it is not this administration's fault that this is happening. No one is suggesting that. It's 100% in agreement that that problem exists, and it is not the current administration's fault. This is a problem that has developed and built over years and years and years and years and years, and here we are. And it's not going to force Gavin Newsom to. No, they've been trying to work out plans forever. Listen, nobody is saying that there's an easy solution. Like, if there was an easy solution, it would have been done, right? Everybody's trying to figure it out. It's just when you come up with what is clearly the wrong solution, proposing the wrong solution doesn't get you any closer to the right solution. And so, anyway.
Well,
yeah.
and then when you don't, like we brought out, it's like when you don't even have the details on it, no one can even adapt to then do what you're saying that it would do.
Yeah. All right. 2 more. What's next?
All right, we got Chris. Crispy Bacon.
Crispy Bacon.
Hey, fun little fact that I noticed after watching Thunderbolts, Wendell Pierce is now simultaneously MCU and DCU actor.
Yep.
Mhm. Just like Lawrence Fishburne was, and Wendell Pierce is also Clark Kent's boss in the Daily Planet, just like Lawrence Fishburne was.
Yep. So Lawrence Fishburne was in a Marvel MCU movie with Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Wendell Pierce is in a Marvel MCU movie with Ghost. And both of them are Perry White
Yep.
in DC movies. That's a really, by the way, I love Wendell Pierce.
I do too.
He's so great. I was really excited when I heard that he was going to be Perry White in this new one.
Oh, yeah.
All right, last question of the day.
All right, we got Arun who says, I will never forget Thunderbolts, the scene where Bucky gets a call. I got a call saying that my grandma passed away. That's awful. I'm sorry. Left immediately, and I don't know when I will be able to watch the movie again. Your show helps a lot to process the grief. Thank you.
I mean, that's terrible. And now,
Especially because you associate, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's just
exactly.
something you can't get past. Like, you're always going to associate that.
Eventually, once you've healed from that trauma and that loss, then you can kind of go back, but it takes time.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, this is nowhere near on the same scale as yours, but I used to watch Michael Keaton's Batman every couple of years. Every couple of years, I would sit down and watch it again. I have not watched it since my friend died. My friend who I saw it with when we were kids, first time I ever saw the movie in a movie theater, we went to go see that original Michael Keaton Batman. And ever since he passed away, I guess we're getting close to 6 or 7 years ago that he passed away.
Mm.
I haven't been able to watch the movie again.
Mm.
And I don't know if I ever will. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So again, yours, I mean, he said it was his mom, right?
Grandmother.
Grandmother. I've recently lost a grandparent as well. So yours is more significant, but yeah, that's a terrible thing, man. Really terrible thing. All right, let's do one last one.
Okay. So we got Lewis who says, in my opinion, the MC feels a little like an A-lister's theme park, packed with stars, but losing its relatable mythic weight. It's harder to connect now. Unknowns once let us see ourselves in heroes. I think James Gunn knows this, hence the full DC reboot.
I don't know that that's particularly true. Robert Downey Jr. was never an unknown, and they launched the MCU with him. And in the very first post-credit scene in the MCU, Samuel L. Jackson, Jeff Bridges was Warmonger. None of those were unknowns. Chris Evans was not. I mean, Chris Evans wasn't the supreme megastar that he is today.
But he wasn't too fantastic.
He was a
Four
very
movies
well-known
and others,
big movie star when he was Captain America. And Jeremy Irons,
Renner.
no, Michael Jones, the guy who played the general in Captain America: First Avenger. Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Thank you. Tommy Lee Jones is not an unknown. The only thing they got close to being an unknown was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
But even in that, you had Sir Anthony Hopkins. You had
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman. I don't know that I agree with your. I don't think
I get what he's going for, but yeah, I think there's some overlooked details there.
Yeah, and listen, James Gunn did not. I mean, James Gunn cast John Cena as Peacemaker. He cast Idris Elba in Suicide Squad. James Gunn did not cast David Cornsweet because he's an unknown. He just went through the big casting process. He looked at some big stars and think this guy is perfect for the role.
Yeah.
And by the way, he ain't a newcomer either. He starred in a few things too. So I don't know that your assessment. I think, listen, post Endgame, I've been critical of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, clearly. But the problem has not been that they use famous actors or not famous actors. The problem, and I disagree with Rob on this, the problem is not that they haven't connected their universe as well as they used to. Although that's true, they haven't connected the universe as well as they. The problem has been a movie would come out and it just hasn't been as good as their previous movies. That's it. Whether it's a big star, not a big star, connected universe, more isolated universe. Doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they just started making movies that just simply weren't as good. Some of them were great. Some of them were great. A couple of them are terrible. Some of them just not so good. But that's the problem. You make great individual movies. It doesn't matter if it's a big new movie star, complete unknown, connected to the wider cinematic universe, kind of isolated from the wider. None of that matters if you make the movie good. And that's, to me, that's been their problem. That since 2019, their overall quality level has dropped. Some great bangers, absolutely. Some totally terrible stuff, and a lot of stuff that was just kind of mediocre, a lot more so than it did in the first 3 phases. So anyway, that's just kind of my take on that. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. Number one, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did. And by the way, we're acknowledging that we almost got caught up.
Yeah,
we didn't
pretty close.
Quite get caught up, but we will get through all the questions again. We will get all caught up tomorrow. We got really close there, but we will do that, Tim. We've gone over 2 hours already today, so we'll get caught up on that a little bit later. Guys, don't forget, go and watch Andor tonight. Andor, the next three, part 3. Is out tonight. Go check it out. I know I'll be watching that a little bit later. So for a big special thank you to Robert Meyer Burnett and Chris Carr. Also want to thank Ray Ora.
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
Have a good day.
My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends. Bye-bye.